I'm tired of having to work harder to bypass mediocre men.
They went with a guy who had less experience than me.
Women make up 50% of the population. Why is it that we're only about 5% of the below the line workers?
They said our names wouldn't make the slate, so we're calling our own shots. Slated, women filmmakers, real opportunities, real sisterhood.
Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Giovannie Espiritu, a bold, visionary storyteller whose work is shaped by her journey as a bisexual and once undocumented Filipino mom who survived a biblical doomsday cult. Giovanni's award-winning films, including Alley 3000, with over 12 festival wins, and Legacy, winner of the Silver Tally and the Hyundai Evolve Innovation Award, tackle patriarchy, generational trauma, and bias with humor, heart, and fearless honesty. Her latest project, the romantic comedy series Made to Shine, celebrates Filipino culture in Las Vegas, while her feature, Love and Karma, starring Ai Ling and Eric Roberts, showcases her gift for storytelling emotionally rich, inclusive stories. Recognized as one of the most influential Filipino women in the world, Giovannie lives by the mantra, break hearts wide open and create more moments of joy. Giovannie is a proud member of the PGA, the Alliance of Women Directors, the TV Academy, and SAG-AFTRA. Giovannie, welcome to Slated.
Thank you so much for having me here. I loved meeting y'all at AFM a year or two ago, and your energy is just super wonderful. We need more female filmmakers in the space to tell our stories from our perspective and not from like a dude's perspective. We need more of that. So I'm very, very happy and honored to be on the show.
Well, we're welcome to have you. So before we go any further, tell me, did I miss anything? Did I get anything wrong? Did I mispronounce anything?
I didn't miss anything. I have so many awards. Oh, it's a little thing. I just got the TOFA 100 most influential Filipinos, not just Filipino women in the world, but Filipinos in the world, I think like a month ago. And it's interesting because, I get all these accolades and I have racked up so many awards, but does it matter?
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
I think it does.
It does. But there's also like poop that happens, even though you do all of that. But yeah, it does get you in the rooms more. So
I mean, I think it to you personally, doesn't it? It matters that your work is recognized. You work so hard, it matters that it's recognized and it is seen. I think it matters.
You're right. It does help me keep going.
Well,
for sure. I was going to say this week has been hard, but yes, you are right, Allie. The recognition does help me keep going. It helps me get more visible. It helps me like a track record of success so that when I talk to financiers and funders and other people that might be supporting my work, they're less scared because this whole industry is about lessening risk. It's a very risk averse industry. The awards help.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they help emotionally. I think they help certainly with your credibility. And like you said, they help you get in the door and open doors for you and help you get financing if you need that. Tell me, how were you drawn to filmmaking in general? Were you drawn as a child?
No. So as a child, I had a very crazy, colorful, weird, horrible
Want to go into that
right?
a little bit? The cult that you were raised in?
Yeah, so that was the childhood. And then as a teenager, because that was the childhood that I came from, I joined a cult because I was looking for family and belonging and a lot of other things, which definitely shaped my worldview because the cult that I was particularly a part of was very patriarchal. I could not wear pants because it was an abomination to the Lord. I could not cut my hair. I had to ask permission for everybody, for everything, to even exist, to even take a shower. And I had to be the perfect wife who was quote unquote married because I was underage to somebody 17 years older than me. It was very much your purpose is to have children and to look after your man and to look after the household and to be the workhorse of the home. While the dude is, what do I do today? What do I want to do? I'm going to think about God. So that is a lot of the way that my worldview has been shaped. And then I got into acting, not because I necessarily wanted to. It was actually a weird way that I got into acting. Okay, long story short, I was in the cult and we were at this time we were in Grizzly Flats. And this is a very remote part of the way that cults operate and domestically violent relationships operate is that they isolate you. So I was in the middle of the woods. I had no friends, and I would try to talk to telemarketers all the time and keep them on the phone because they were my friends, right? And one of them said something along the lines of, you have a very interesting voice. You should get into voiceovers. And I had no idea what voiceovers was. And at the time, it was like that dial-up internet,
Dial-up from the woods?
Dial-up from the woods, which I could only access it for like 1 hour when I was given permission to, right? But at the time, my ex quote unquote husband, he had quit his job because I had a kid with him and he believed that the Lord was coming soon. So quit his job. And I was like, oh shoot, how am I going to provide for this child? Right. The great thing was that my child was still nursing, but this person, stranger, was like, you have a very interesting voice. You should try voiceovers. I looked it up on the internet and I don't know what possessed me to send in a really dorky tape to Stars the Agency, which was the biggest agency that I could find in San Francisco. I sent it in and they called me in. We drove 4 hours from Grizzly Flats to San Francisco. I got signed by the agency. They sent me out on my first audition for a video game called My Street. I ended up booking it and it was more money than I had ever made. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to follow this path. And at that time, I was still a Christian. I was still believing in God. I still believe in the universe now, but I'm not technically a Christian anymore. But I was like, oh, this is a sign from God, and I'm going to follow it.
I love origin
And
story.
you can't make this shit up, you know?
Was your husband at the time and the cult supportive of this path? You said you drove 4 hours. You did it without him.
Did
Yeah.
he talk to you?
No. So because he had quit his job, right? And because I had booked it the same day, it was like a sign
It
from
was a sign
God.
from God. Right.
He allowed it, but that was my entry back into the world where I was booking these voiceover jobs and making money for the household. And so he allowed me to do so. We would take the whole family and we go down there. And as soon as I was done with the audition, I had to go back in the car because I can't talk to anybody. I couldn't do that. As soon as I got over with the job, I had to go back in the car. If I dilly-dallied around, that was big trouble for me, right? Then my agent at the time was like, you know, you're booking all of these voiceover things. We would like to represent you on camera. And then they recommended this class. And because I presented it to my husband at the time as this is what they want me to do, they want me to make more money, and they recommended this, right? I joined this class, and that was the first time that I was dealing with people. And I'm not the same person that I was then. I was incredibly shy, didn't talk to anybody. I remember they kept asking me to go out after class, and I was like, I can't. My husband won't let me. I have to be right there, you know, and they started like, oh, this is weird, you know? I think it was weird. Thought I was being a good wife, right? And somebody eventually gave me a book called Free Yourself from Abusive Relationships, and I had to hide the book. There were 2 things on that list that he didn't do. He didn't hit me, and he didn't choke me. But there was one time that he did throw a log at my face, and I ducked, and it hit the wall behind me. So that is debatable, right? But yeah, that was my foray into learning about the world. Did they support me? No, they didn't, because once I started having ideas in my head, it was a problem. It is no go. And I suggested counseling. This is kind of dangerous because he went to the first 2 and then he didn't go anymore. Yeah. So that is my origin story.
Well, I would say that that was a red light from the universe. It's
Yeah.
like the urging of the universe, move in this direction, you know?
Yeah. So that's why I believe in the universe. I believe in an unseen world. I believe in energy, but I'm not necessarily Christian
So
anymore.
has the universe urged you into other projects?
So many when I was starting to teach, right? I didn't know how I was going to get a space because I have no credit record. I don't do real estate. I don't know anything about that. But I went into this space and I doing this thing. I want to say it's like walking out on faith, but I don't like to say that because that's super Christian. You know what I mean? I'm taking the next best step and just seeing what might happen, right? So eventually this time I had booked ER. ER was a crazy story too, because that was my first recurring role. ER was my first SAG job. Little crumbs from the universe that I keep following. And then when I started teaching, I didn't have the money to put a down payment on anything or, you know, all of that stuff. I didn't know how to do that. But I went and I just, you guys remember Craigslist? How sketchy Craigslist was?
It's still sketchy.
It's still sketchy, but okay, so I was using Craigslist for a while, right? And looking for places near where I live to potentially hold classes out of. And there was this one, and I talked to the guy. The guy was really nice. It was like a hybrid of a house and a business, right? And there was one room there that I was, oh, this could work. And he was like, what do you want to do? Well, I'm an actor and I've been teaching for this company, but I kind of want to go on my own and I'm looking for a space, and I can do the monthly, and I could get the money for you, and I don't have credit record. I don't have that. And is this something that you might be okay with? And he went downstairs and he pulled out a sign from the 1950s, and it literally said Actors Workshop on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's in my garage right now. And he allowed me to rent the space, and I was there for, I think, maybe 8 to 10 years teaching
amazing.
in the Bay Area.
That's amazing. That just from that very first voiceover class, you have grown and grown, and with pure tenacity, you have moved forward in spite of. And I love this, that it's like we often, so many of us get into this business without really knowing what we're going to do or where we're going to go. We just have this drive to be here, right? And you've leveled up every single time. What do you attribute that to?
I attribute it to not having a secondary plan. Like I said, I was in the cult, and I don't have an education. This is all I know. And also I have a child. My fire underneath, I have to make money for my child. I don't know how to do anything else. This is what I know, what I'm good at. I can do it. People keep giving me accolades about being a teacher. When I was teaching my kids, one of them was flown out to LA to test for Meet the Fockers with Ben Stiller. And this is within the first 3 months of me teaching. You know what I mean? They're just amazing. One of them is an Emmy nominee. They're great. I get these little tidbits of, okay, keep going here, because this is where your gift is going to be helpful in the world. So I don't like to say I burnt the bridges, because I don't think I had bridges. I didn't have a secondary plan yet. I'm thinking about now going back to school, because the industry is so weird. But at that point in time, I didn't know what to do. And when I became a filmmaker, it was pretty much because the same thing. I went to LA, and LA is so different than the Bay Area. Like in the Bay Area, you can be an actor and be really nice with everybody, like watch everybody's kids. It's so sweet. It's a super cute, good way to be in the industry. And then you get to LA, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I was not prepared for that. I have good friends in LA now, but it is such a beast, so different. And I'm learning how different it is on the filmmaking side too. From the acting side, it was super cutthroat, and I got to a point where there's no roles for people that look like me. Let me do what I can to write and create something. And my first film that kind of got noticed was actually a 1 minute of me just looking into the camera that I entered into Outfest. And it got an honorary mention or something like that at Outfest for a 1 minute film. And I was like, oh, here's another crumb from the universe. I have to pursue this.
So what I'm hearing is that you just keep saying yes to whatever. If an opportunity comes up, you say, yes, I'll do it.
Super yes. That's a super improv thing, right? Yes, and we were going to say yes, and. But I think it's a little bit more of internal yes. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do internally know what that is. I love that internal yes, because you are primarily a director now, correct?
It's primarily what I do. The writer-director thing is what I do. I love acting. Acting is really fun for me, but there's not enough roles. There just aren't. So I started writing as a way to create those roles, because stories are infinite, right? And we can pull down those stories and being more in control of like what we want to see and the perspectives on things that need to be out there. But yeah, I started writing to create more stories for people like me. And then directing was just kind of super easy for me, because I had been an acting coach for so long that I understood how to talk to actors. So my strengths as a director, I guess organization has been good now, because I've done the producing thing and I'm really good at that. It may not be film school way, but I am good and I can do it and I make it happen. But really working with actors is my strong point. Like I can see their hearts, and I do this thing where I can empathize with them on the level where I need them to be. And if I can get emotionally where they need to be, they can kind of entrain with that, if that makes sense. So I can start them where they need to be in the scene, and then they can fly from there, you know? But the big thing for me is being very specific in your work, being very sure that your memories, whatever it is that you talk about, are super specific, that I see it in your soul. That has always been my thing as an acting coach, right? Super specificity. I don't want to think that you're acting. I don't want to see your emotion. I want you to go through it. Even if it's different for every single take, I want to see you go through it. I want to see your fucking soul. That is what I want. That is what I call forth from my actors. I love directing. I love working with actors. I love shaping stories. I love seeing people go through the emotional thing and also teaching people that emotions are not bad and they're not scary. You know, we're so scared of emotions. We're so scared of like anger, especially for women, but anger only tells you what is important, you know, and you can channel it in a way that is constructive and you can channel it in a way that is destructive, which is very fun to play on camera.
Mhm.
Actors show all the sides of humanity that we are scared to show. And that is why I love it. I love it because it increases empathy for other people.
So talking about how much you love it, tell me what your 3 biggest wins in directing or acting, primarily directing, because I think that's where your focus is. What have been your big wins? And how did you get those? How did you get those wins?
So a big win is kind of like a bittersweet win because I did do my first feature film, but it's like in weirdness right now. But the fact that I was able to write and direct that and that it was contracted for 35 days and then split to like 18 days and I still did it and the performances are wonderful. I didn't get into any overtime. That is like such a win for me personally. I can do this shit. You throw so much at me, I can do it, you know? And so that is a win for me. The Made to Shine series, that's a win because the way that that came about was that I did an interview very similar to this, a talk show interview thing for the Filipino community. And then the vice president, who was the interviewer, was like, I want to introduce you to the head of the network, but you need to come up with a horror film, a game show, a series, and a talk show. And I came up with 4 pitches for horror films, a game show, a talk show, and a series. And it was a 4-hour pitch. And at the end of the pitch, they were like, we only have X amount of money. We can do 1 episode of the game show. And I was, I don't want to do that in my heart. I don't want to do that one. Can we do the series? Instead of 10 episodes, I'll make it 6 episodes. And if you give me the permission to get sponsorships and creative control on it, I can do it for you. And they said yes. So this series that's coming up, it's low budget because it has to be, right? But the fact that I was able to do it and like, I love my cast and I love my crew is a
So
win.
hold back on the offer. You said, you know, thank you, but no thank you. Here's what I want. So that I think is a huge win for a woman to be able to do. I got chills thinking about that. That's a huge win that you pushed back and you said, no, thank you to that. But how about this?
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Good. And that's a huge win for you, right? The series is a huge win.
The feature, the series, and then something else directing wise that you know what I love also directing is reaching people in a way that they didn't expect, where you have those takes where the actor surprises themselves too, or you feel like you unlocked something in them that made them touch that part of their soul. That happens a lot. And I love those moments, and those moments may never be seen on camera. You know, that is very intimate and very personal.
That's an internal win because it's what you're there to do that no one can see, but you're succeeding in your craft, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing that I'm really great at is working with actors. And sometimes nobody's ever going to see it. Sometimes that's not the take that's going to be used, but that is a win for me. You know,
Sure.
sometimes you work on really traumatic scenes. And so you have to also tell your actor to take care of themselves afterwards. You know what I mean? Because like their body does not know that it's not really real. So they got to take care of themselves. So like I'm also an advocate for that because I work with a lot of kids and teens.
Sure. When you pushed back at, can we say what network it was that you had this?
So as Film TV Network is a small Las Vegas Filipino network, but the great thing is that a bigger network has taken it on, and that's where it's going to premiere in January.
Okay, so when you put against the network,
Yeah.
that seems like a pretty big creative risk, right? How did doing that change you? How did having the courage to do that change you as an artist?
Think because of the feature film, what I was going through with the feature film, I've been teaching myself to stand up for myself and to advocate for myself. So I think that helped, you know. It is still hard though. It's still hard to speak up, especially in rooms that you know that they have the power and they can use it against you. It's really hard.
You feel inadequate for
all the time.
that?
So oh God.
I think that resonates with a lot of us, right? How do you deal with your moments of those feelings of feeling small and inadequate?
I
You cry? Not in front of executives.
Sometimes, yeah. Not in pitch meetings. I haven't in pitch meetings. But the thing is that I feel the feelings. I'm such like a freaking actor. I want to feel the feelings. I want to, because I know that those feelings are transient. Let it move through my body for like 17 seconds, and if I feel it fully, then it can release, right? So I feel like a piece of shit. I'm not going to ever do this again. People look at me and I am nothing to them, which is totally true. You know what I mean? To feel it, but then to get out of it and be, okay, what is opposite? Like the wins. There have been people in LA that have been there for 20 years that haven't done a feature film.
Yeah. That's brutal. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to give myself props too.
You're overcoming your imposter syndrome by having your own successes, pushing through, and then having the accolades at the other end of that, so you know that you made the right decision and that you were right to do that.
Every single decision, I'm like, is this the right one? I don't know. But I'm just going to go through it and experience it and see what happens.
Such a great philosophy. Have there been other women that have helped you get into the room?
Yeah. So there was two ladies that ran pitch competitions, and I won the pitch competition, and they have been like just encouraging me from the sidelines a lot. You know what I mean?
Beautiful.
And just having a community of really like you guys, like really like wonderful creatives that kind of uplift you is so important. So there have been people
You want to
like
shout out
that.
those, you met them through the contest and they've remained advocates for you.
It just like you keep going is nice. You know what I mean? In my acting, when I was in my acting days, do a lot of chips because I don't have the education. I don't have the money to go to film school. I want to shout out Mormon Bowling Casting because they were very amazing with me as an actor, where they let me work for them, like intern with them so I could see the process, and just like really wonderful people. So that casting agency was amazing. It's interesting because there have also been women that I have fallen on my sword for, and they have, like, they took the sword out that I fell on them for and then stuck it in my back several times. So, there's also been that, which was very sad. The thing where you go from pet to threat is a real thing, which is sad.
It's very sad. And let's say unequivocally, it's not cool to be those kind of women. We don't want them to be in our audience. We want women who support women, period. That's our objective.
And I think it's a patriarchy thing. I think it's because like they're like, there's not enough for everybody. That's where that mindset comes from. And so if they see somebody moving up the ranks, it scares them a bit,
Yeah.
And I would rather build a world where there's infinite stories. You know what I mean? Like an infinite funding, which I want. I want infinite funding.
Do. I want to build a world where women support women across the board. Like we lift each other up and we tell each other's story. We help each other tell our stories, and we help each other, get the jobs that we're not right for, That's the world that I want to create. I want to have women behind the camera in all storytelling that has a woman in front of the screen. If a woman's on the screen, a woman should be behind the camera, period. And I don't just mean as a director. I mean as a lighting person, as a music person, as the cinematographer, women behind the camera.
I can't believe I totally forgot to shout out one of my biggest mentors, like ever. Florencia Manovil is a Bay Area filmmaker who is fantastic and wonderful and is an advocate of a world like that where women support women, where just people support people. She did this film called Fiona's Script, and that's how I met her. I played Mara on it. I got a nod for Best Supporting Actress in it alongside Academy Award nominees Amy Irving and Alfre Woodard for that film. Yeah, so like that is my start with her, but the really amazing thing about her being a director on that is that she brought her child with her to set all the time, so that also established that. And then one of the other things that she did that I was just like, wow, this is what I want to emulate. When the film was done and there was leftovers in the film fund, she distributed that equally to everybody.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my experience with her, and that's the kind of director that I want to be. Those are the kinds of sets that I want to be a part of. It's interesting because you know how I said that ER was my first SAG role as a recurring role? Leslie Linka Glatter was my director on my very first episode of ER, which was my very first SAG job. And the fact that I had a woman director for my network first thing, in my brain, it was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
And when I went to LA years and years later, and I finally moved to LA, because I booked ER, I think in 2003, and I didn't move to LA until 2016. I didn't realize how difficult it was for women to be directors. Because in my brain, Leslie Linka Glatter was my director.
Right.
Florencia Manoville was my director on a feature film. So I was just like, of course. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to be. I think that that's the way men are raised to believe, oh, of course it's possible for me. But women are not
Yep.
raised to believe that anything is possible. Anything they set their mind to is possible for them.
Right.
So
It's like the whole thing where the magazines for men are like, what do you want to do? What's your ambition? Da, 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 da. And then the ones for women is like, be better in bed. This way, you know?
that's another gift of your background. As horrible as the cult was, you somehow avoided learning. Like you came into it kind of like, okay, this is possible. Sure, I'll do it. Okay, that's possible. I'll do it. Okay.
Yep.
There wasn't the built-in skepticism of your ability to move up based on anything other than your desired.
I love about that because the cult brain was like, women can't do anything without permission. And I had to really
Some-
fight that.
Somehow you
think
fought it really strongly.
I had to really, really fight that. I think it was because I was trying to fight that. You know what I mean? That I was just like, just gonna do the thing.
Yeah.
you know?
Really, really amazing that you were able to do
Cool.
that. Has there been a time when during this filmmaking journey of yours that you've really felt like you got to walk away, that it's over, like you're not going to make it? Yeah.
Yeah. Weak.
Pardon?
honestly.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit, about what's going on?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about it. So basically the feature film that I put my heart and soul into, it's in a lot of mess right now and a lot of heartache right now. It premiered at the Asian World Film Festival, but another director's name was also attached to it, even though contractually that's not supposed to happen. It hurts my heart to see a lot of people supporting somebody that did not fulfill their contract, and I'm still doing, I'm still trying to get paid and go through all of that. And so my heart has been hurting a lot this week because to see people uplift that because of the glam and the glamour and red carpets and celebrities, and not knowing that, hey, your main creative person is not being treated right on it. It kind of
Oh,
sucks,
just so that the audience is kind of up to speed a little bit. And I know that we don't want to say any names or titles or anything like that, but this is a film that you wrote and directed
Yeah.
based on
Yeah.
on someone else's idea, right? You wrote and fully wrote the script and directed it from
Mhm.
start to finish. No one else stepped in to do any partial directing, right?
Nope.
And the production company has removed your name.
But they added another
so
director.
they added a co-director?
They added a co-director who has no IMDb credits, and I don't even think that they're a real person.
And how about the writing credit? Is that still there?
Still there.
But
But the thing about that is they were like, oh, it's based off of this book. And I was like, I didn't base it off of any book. I based it off of interviews in my brain. The book wasn't even written until after we wrapped filming, so I don't know what you're doing with that.
and you have been excluded from any of the promos, any of the accolades, any of the celebration, any of the festivities.
Yeah. My name's not even on the poster when that's supposed to be in my contract. And I don't understand why. I've been saying this week, trust is the only true currency, because the contract is black and white, but if somebody's not wanting to abide by that, you can't really do anything other than take it to arbitration. And even that is so much money for an independent filmmaker to even put into that.
Right.
So that's why a lot of independent filmmakers, when they deal with distribution people, they kind of just give up because the money to go after it is not worth the pain or the heartache.
Yeah. And that's where you're at now. So this week has been a rough one for you.
So rough. It's been so rough. I don't want to deal with Hollywood. I don't want to deal with people like that. I think maybe my lesson in this going forward is because I have been encouraged by a lot of people. Like, people have been reaching out to me and be like, gosh, during this scene, it was so funny. Your writing came through. It was so funny, even though it's not my edit and it's contractually in my contract that I have final cut on it. They didn't listen to that. That's another thing. But people really enjoyed their performances of the actors, which is because of me, and people enjoyed the writing, which is because of me. Even though it wasn't from what I have been hearing, it's not what I would have done with the edit, but it still has my fingerprints in there. How can it not? Yeah. So I've been encouraged by people who are like, no, that was wonderful. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. People really enjoyed that. Keep writing, keep doing the thing because we need it.
And so I had asked you if there was a time that you felt like walking away, and it was this week. What has it been, the support of others that's pulling you back from that?
It is, yeah. People just reminding me that the stories that I write are needed in the world.
And if you were to give
And that I
advice
have-
to another filmmaker who is suffering a dark spell,
Ooh,
what advice would you
yeah.
give?
I would say do what you need to keep your soul light. If you need to step away from it and go dance your face off, you go do that. But remember that you have a very specific perspective on the world that only you can bring to the world, and you need to keep writing, if only for yourself. And then when you want to bring it out into the world, bring it out into the world and make sure that you are surrounded with people that uplift you, And one of the mistakes that I had made, I think, is that even though I saw certain red flags, I didn't pay enough attention to them.
Right.
Because we're telling a female story about an older female who finds love in her older age, and I want to be a part of that. I love love. I am such a romantic, And so I was excited about it for that, but I didn't so excited about it that I missed things,
I recently went through something similar, certainly not to the degree that you did, but I also didn't get paid for a paid job. And I also have been excluded from the edit and all of the promo and everything. And it does hurt very much. And the only thing that I can tell you is that what helped me was just letting it go, just moving on to the next project. I'm not even thinking about it anymore because it's behind me. I grew as a director directing it. I had a wonderful time on set. I'm proud of
Yeah.
the work that I did. That can't be taken away from me. I hope to get some of the stuff from my reel. I don't know that I will. Other than that, it's done. It's gone. It's behind me. And I won't look back again. And making that decision has helped. And moving on to create something else. I'm moving on to develop my feature film. So that's helped me. And I don't know if that will help you or not, but I think it's worth a try.
Yeah, I think I have to let it go. I know what I
Yeah.
did on it. My cat knows what I did on it. My crew knows what I did on it. I have those skills. I know I have those skills. And I have a series coming out in
Yeah.
January, so I need to focus
Yeah.
on that. Hope I get paid. I'm not hoping that I want to do another edit on it because that ship has sailed. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I don't want to have anything to do with that anymore. Plus, my editor passed away tragically in April, which has been another thing. That's also probably why I wanted to give up this week. Anyways, I'm gonna move past that. But yeah, like putting my focus on the future, I have to.
What's your big goal right now? What one big goal do you have? One big goal.
Oh my, one big goal, I probably want to finish my documentary. So I'm working on a documentary called Into the Motherland, which kind of talks about generational trauma. Like, my mom was 15 when she had me. She had barely turned 16, actually. Yeah, she was like 1 month into being 16 from a very, very poor town called Tondo, Manila. And a lot of the ways that she raised me came from trauma from World War II, from her mom. And I wanted to explore that and explore why the ways that I was raised made me really want to get into a cult. So it's called Into the Motherland, and it's a work in progress. I'm going to work on it. But there's actually a funny story in there about the marriage when I got married because it was so ridiculous. I hope that I can make it funny. I hope I can make this tragedy funny. That's what I'm hoping. That's my next big thing.
What 3 things are you doing daily and strategically to get to that goal?
Right now, in the next 2 weeks, I have to focus on packing up and selling the house because my editor partner we weren't married, so now I have to give up the house. So this is also why this week has been really, really tough.
Touch
But
on
okay,
it.
so
Do you want to touch on that? Because that is part of your filmmaking journey,
That's
is going
definitely.
through this very tough
hard.
time of grieving.
So my partner of 20 years, another amazing filmmaker. His name is Dennis Ruel, and he did a lot of fight choreography for video games. He did Unlucky Stars. It's like a Hong Kong style like action comedy. That was one of the first things that we produced together. Just a phenomenal person. He was also my editor. He and I did the first edit for that movie. Like the 120 minutes. The 120-minute version had our humor in it, and it just needed sound, VFX, and color, right? It went crazy after that. He was also my editor for Made to Shine. So the first 3 episodes are wonderful and great. The next 3 episodes are kind of wonky because I had to find different editors, right? But I have to give it grace. He passed in April. We think it's from pulmonary embolism or a heart attack. I don't know. He went to sleep and then he didn't wake up, which has been very, very difficult. So that is part of my filmmaking journey. It was hard to find editors that will even match his style, but I found a few. I found one that I could work with. Yeah, that's part of my filmmaking journey. Like, I miss him a lot.
But it's amazing that you've been going through this whole year, grieving him, grieving this film, and you're still getting up, getting dressed, sitting at your desk, doing your work, and moving forward with your art. And I really commend you for that.
Part of the 3 things that I try to do on the difficult days, a journal. That is part of the thing. In a weird way, I think Instagram has been helping me because I could just put my feelings out there. There's something about storytelling and filmmaking that is about being witnessed, right? Being witnessed in whatever you're going through. And I think that is also one of my strengths as an artist, is that I will just put it out there. But here is my process. Here is what I'm going through. And that is showing humanity, which is what we're doing through filmmaking. And then like the other thing that I'm doing is just breathing, just getting up and taking a hot shower on the days that I don't know what to do. Hot showers have saved my life, and dancing my face off has saved my life, I think.
It's awesome. What advice would you give up and coming or an emerging filmmaker, writer, actress, or director that feels like she's almost there but hasn't quite had a breakthrough?
Yeah. Find your pace rabbit. That's what helped
Like
me,
your
is
what?
like finding
What?
I call it a pace rabbit. So the rabbits are like the ones that, it's a mechanical rabbit that the dogs like run after or whatever. I will try to find somebody whose career that I think I kind of similarly, it's like a comp, what I mean?
Kind of
Like a
comp.
comp.
Okay.
Comp for your career, for your life, and see what they did and what they are doing, and try to do those things, because there's always some kind of pattern or formula that you can at least take the next best step.
That is
towards.
amazing. That really is amazing advice. Thank you so much. Do you know of any opportunities that anyone in our audience might be able to be on the lookout for? Any inside tips?
As a filmmaker, make your proof of concept. Nobody's going to do it but you. Stop asking for permission. Even if you have to do it with your iPhone, do it with your iPhone, because at least the whole thing is about refining everything. Even if you start your pitch deck, at least you have a pitch deck and keep refining it. The whole thing is about making your package more attractive.
Yeah.
Keep improving it. For example, if you have an idea for a film, write the fucking log line down, And then when you're done with that, write the synopsis. And then when you're done with that, think about characters. Find pictures. Do like a little Pinterest board. Baby step your way to doing the thing that you want to do.
That's also really great advice. Thank you so much. How can we, Pam and I, and our audience help you and support you right now? Particularly right now when you need a lot of support.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know what to ask for. I would say subscribe, like, and follow, but I don't know if that's it.
That's well. Give the artist your socials.
So my IG is Geo Spirit and then the number 2. And my website is Giovannie with an E, Espiritu.com. My filmmaking website, which goes to my same personal website, is herhunger.com, because we are hungry, like women are hungry. We want everything and we deserve everything. So herhunger.com is where you can find me. If anybody wants any filmmaking consultations or any acting coaching, find me through there. Hollywood Actors Workshop is my coaching site. And if anybody has any funders that want to make stories about messy women, hit me.
Absolutely. Giovannie, thank you so much for joining us on Slated. And to my audience, if this conversation has inspired you or resonated with you or gave you a new tool for your journey, share the episode with your fellow filmmakers, especially your fellow women filmmakers. That's how this sisterhood will grow. Follow our guest, Giovannie's work, support her goals, share her wins, and keep the cycle going. Because the more we champion each other, the more doors open for all of us.